In the event of a nuclear apocalypse, the small number of surviving humans would be forced into a nomadic way of living, leaving them with just the clothes on their backs as their only form of consistent refuge and protection. In a post-apocalyptic world, your clothes become your ultimate house. This is the concept that inspired Japanese designer Kosuke Sumura's magnum opus, Final Home. Born in 1959 in the Saitama prefecture of Japan, Sumura developed an early interest in clothes. However, it wasn't until his teenage years when he joined his high school's cheerleading squad that his love for fashion truly started. Cheerleaders were the only students allowed to modify their school uniforms, which allowed Sumura to be more creative and put his own spin on his everyday clothes. However, this led to other kids from his school imitating his style purely because they came from wealthier backgrounds and could easily afford to do so. This left Sumura feeling like he was unable to express his originality. This frustration resulted in him learning about fashion design as a potential career, and after some more research, he came across the Soen Award, which is widely regarded as a gateway to success for new fashion designers, according to past winner Yohji Yamamoto. Other notable recipients of the award include Junko Kushino, Kenzo Takada, and Kanzai Yamamoto. Sumura decided he was going to win this award no matter what. He wasn't interested in getting a regular job. All he cared about was the glamorous lifestyle of being a designer and appearing in international collections. In his third year of high school, he received his first nomination for the prize and was required to submit his finished clothes at the Bunker Fashion College, which is known as Japan's most prestigious fashion school and hosts the Soen Award. At the time, there was a rumor that you had to attend this college to win the Soen Prize. The only winner at that point who hadn't gone there was Kanzai Yamamoto, which proves there was at least a level of bias towards the Bunker students. As someone whose ultimate goal was to win this prize, you would have expected Sumura to aim to get into this prestigious institution to increase his chances of winning, and that aside, Bunker was still arguably the best fashion college in Japan. However, this is not what he did. During his first trip to the school, Sumura encountered the students who he said were very loud and obnoxious.
Level 5 Gat Riz, Libby done rizzing up Baby Gronk, Ice Spice what the dog doing, Skibbity.
This was apparently the main reason why he decided not to apply to the best fashion college in Japan. He also thought it'd be cooler to win the award from outside of Bunker's education, so being an edgy teen had a part to play too. In 1982, at the age of 23, Kosuke Sumura achieved his goal and won the 52nd Soen Award for designing a white jacket featuring corduroy embroidery, which was inspired by electrical boards. I couldn't find any pictures of this piece, so here's something I got mid-journey to out instead. Not long after, in 1983, Sumura joined Issei Miyake's design studio as an assistant designer, and as you might expect, he gained an overwhelming amount of knowledge and experience during his time here. He was mainly responsible for designs related to the Paris collection, but was also given the opportunity to expand his skills in creating non-fashion related artworks. Miyake supported this and even introduced him to galleries and various other connections within the art world. He encouraged this sort of work from Sumura as the techniques he was learning were also applicable to the company's fashion projects. Sumura worked with Miyake for the next 11 years, and although contributing to a prolific fashion label was fulfilling, his desire to produce personal work grew. Around the 90s, climate change was starting to be taken seriously as more people became aware of the very real and dire consequences of dumping billions of tons of CO2 into the atmosphere. This global issue, combined with Sumura's consumption of media depicting dystopian societies such as Blade Runner, Star Wars, and Akira, served as inspiration for him as he created his 1994 20-piece capsule for MoMA. Within this collection, there was a specific jacket that had lots of pockets and received a very positive reaction. It wasn't named at the time, but the capsule was such a success that later that year, Sumura launched the brand Final Home with the backing of Miyake, based purely on this jacket. The unnamed jacket was the first iteration of the now legendary survival jacket, which encapsulates the concept of clothes designed for everyday use while also being functional in the event of disaster. The first product they released was the Home One jacket, which I'm sure you've seen plastered across Pinterest and Instagram archive pages. This garment would act as a statement to the world of the concept and vision behind Final Home. If the world were to end, what could a jacket do to assist the small number of surviving humans? The Home One featured pockets throughout the whole jacket, even including the hood, which were all intended to be filled with things such as newspaper or other trash to use as insulation while having an abundance of space left for other survival essentials such as food, medicine, and most importantly, plushy guns. The name for the brand in Japanese directly translates to ultimate house, and in the case of a global apocalypse, your clothes would ultimately become your house as you lived out a nomadic lifestyle. Sumura designed Final Home products for this purpose and supposedly even spent multiple nights sleeping in New York City's Centennial Park to test out the warmth and functionality of a Home One prototype during the brand's development. Part of Sumera's reasoning behind creating such an unconventional brand was that he began to observe a shift in the world of fashion during the 90s. He explained this in an interview saying, "The fashion world has its high society Paris collections, but their aesthetic sense was so excessive that we gradually lost touch with reality, and in fact, we began to sympathise with the streets more and more." With fashion movements like punk becoming very popular in Europe at the time, streetwear in general was on the rise. Final Home was able to be both conceptual high fashion and streetwear at the same time. This was quite innovative for the time, as streetwear only really started to be embraced by high-end brands once the pressure of staying relevant kicked in during the absolute golden era of fashion that was the hypebeast craze of the mid-2010s. Due to the buzz surrounding Sumera's capsule collection, Final Home was instantly popular. This was partly because the brand was able to seemingly be two contradicting things at once in multiple different ways. It was conceptual art appreciated by the world of high fashion while also being streetwear, so it had appeal to the younger generation. It tackled serious subject matters such as widespread catastrophes and homelessness, while also including humorous elements in some of the products and just in general not taking itself too seriously. However, not all of the paradoxical elements of Final Home were perceived as positive. Despite being made for ordinary people for both general and emergency situations, the high fashion side of it made the clothes expensive and very sought after by collectors, meaning a lot of the clothes were never used for their intended purposes. Sumera did actually consider this and subsequently decided to include a tag within each jacket encouraging the owner to return it after being worn to the retailer, where they would then be donated to homeless people and refugees. But of course, that didn't happen. Do you really think this motherfucker would return a jacket for the benefit of a refugee or homeless person and not just sell it on Grailed for over $1,000 to further facilitate his addiction to old and smelly clothes? No, I didn't think so. Anyway, I think this issue could have been tackled more effectively by trying to make the products cheaper at retail and therefore more accessible. I think this would have been doable considering a lot of the jackets were made of nylon, which is a relatively cheap material. Nevertheless, Sumera and the Miyake company did not do this, and I have absolutely zero ideas of what the reasons for this could be, and I'm sure it will always remain a mystery. Now, you might be thinking that, from a conceptual standpoint, Final Home sounds really cool and all, but has it ever really been utilised for its intended purpose, aside from, the time Sumera decided to cosplay as a homeless person in a New York City park? Well, according to Sumera himself, during the Fukushima nuclear accident of 2011, evacuation centres around the affected area distributed Final Home jackets to people displaced by the disaster. However, it was reported that the bright colour of the jackets was the most functional aspect of the garment, as it made it easier to spot the evacuees and was more useful in the rescue and evacuation efforts than the functionality of the pockets. So, where does Final Home stand today? Sumera is currently a professor at Musashino Art University and is still active in the fashion industry. He has collaborated with England-based brand Lavenham on 3 separate clothing drops, with the most recent having just come out for Fall Winter 23. Unfortunately, there has been no releases under the Final Home label since the On-Air jacket in 2014. This is because the trademark for the Final Home brand is owned by the Issey Miyake agency, and unfortunately the brand activity was stifled due to some tension between Sumera and Miyake. In 2020, Sumera expressed his hope that the issue would be resolved at some point. However, 2 years later, Issey Miyake sadly passed away, so I highly doubt we'll ever see any future releases from Final Home, which is a massive shame, especially because there is apparently a lot of dead stock clothes from the label gathering dust in a warehouse somewhere. Despite this, Final Home has recently had a resurgence in popularity among the younger generations who are interested in unique and archival fashion. It is amazing to see that even nearly 3 decades after the brand's inception, people are still appreciating the innovative work and vision of the mysterious legend that is Kosuke Sumera.